so they've been pushing capabilities in there. But in terms of size, it's hard to say. I think there may be an overhead in X that goes to the network stack to get to the display, but it's local and sort of moved back, and there's actually a shared memory extension. So I haven't really seen anything with that. The key thing that we like about X is that you can throw the display up someplace else. And we do that a lot for debugging, and we're talking about doing that with what we call dissociated computing, where I could walk in here with my iPaq and the presentation on it, and she'll put it up on the display by running something like X. It might not be X, but something like X. So remoting the display without having to do the cables and all this stuff. Okay. So, and as you can see from just looking at things, you can't really tell the difference now. GPE used to be much less polished, but they've been tweaking it a lot lately. Okay, so GPE, X Windows system has got the render extension, the rotate resize extension. Rotate and resize. Well, so we can rotate all four directions: landscape, portrait, seascape, upside down. And resize would not be really of interest on the iPaq, but for a laptop where you've got higher resolution external display than you have on this LCD, so the projector supported higher resolution, then you can resize, and the server, without changing your connections to the server, could present a bigger desktop or a smaller desktop. And as part of if the applications know the rotate resize extension, they all get notified, and then you go and resize appropriately and re-render it. And actually, that's why render is a very important piece of this, because if the display depth or anything has changed, they need to be able to handle that. So it's pushing a lot more into the client than it used to be in X. Well, than they used to sort of push in the X work. But it's getting more towards the side where a lot of the applications that really cared about what it looked like it's on the client side. The latest version of GTE is using GTK 2.2, I think. And over here we've got a view of Xstruct, which is a full screen struct recognizer, and also the keyboard, on-screen keyboard. But I wanted to show you. I guess the other thing for Keith, I need to say, Alpha Blend is a full screen struct recognizer. And I've got the URL here for the GPE project itself. But as far as installing, it's part of the familiar distribution. When you download, there's sort of basic bootstrap image that has no graphical interface, or there's a GPE image, or there's an OPIE image. So here's OPIE, based on a couple of screenshots from that. OPIE started out much more PDA oriented as opposed to GPE and familiar, which is really networking and SSH and all this stuff sort of oriented. And they sort of moved into a lot of the same space. Things are starting to look similar, but different people working on it, different interests in the people working on the project, which really drives things along, continues to keep them separate. It's really interesting. Right, I should say the Sharp Zors, which I'm not really going to talk about because I can't buy one on $3 and I'm buying one with my own dollars. Because we keep trying to pull them into handhelds that are not quite making it. Mostly because our kernels are still incompatible. We're on a fork off on the street. But, right, what was I saying? Yes. The Sharp Zors is running Utopia. And the OPIE folks have been working very carefully to maintain binary compatibility. So Zors apps will run on the iPaq. OPIE apps will run on the Zors. It's not true for everything. Anything that has points at one of the kernel interfaces that's not part of the mainstream kernel, theirs or ours, won't run on the other one. But for the most part, they're pretty compatible. We're running into things like the real-time fog that.
I want to ask before you left this slide. Are you going to talk about the difference between iPackage and the existing packaging systems? How different is it from Deb or RPM?
Oh, okay, yeah, I do have something to talk about that.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, now that I want to talk about Internet, I'll just show a couple of screenshots. So here we have actually the 6 emulator. Kind of funny. But somewhere here we have Bogo MIPS. Oh yeah, 22 Bogo MIPS of x86 Linux running on the ARM Linux iPaq. And I just got email, or was exchanging email today with somebody who's trying to get an MBS emulator running on iPaq. So there's people sort of pushing in these bizarre directions, which is kind of cool. But mostly, actually, the thing that we really like about this distribution, or this way of installing Debian on the handheld, is we have a cluster of 12 iPaqs, 8 of which are sitting outside the firewall on the internet, so people can log into them and compile applications for the iPaq. And so it's really being able to do apt-get installs and have packages get installed from the standard Debian distribution, the whole code chain, so we can track things as they move forward. Really makes development a lot easier. I'll talk a bit about cross-compiling. And some things work really well cross-compiling. I always do kernel development cross-compiling because I can put it on my desktop machine. But some things, the make files are hairy or whatever. And you log into one of the iPaqs or one of the skips, which is our little server, on the internet and say, unzip it, configure it, build it, and you go out and do something else and come back and teach you that. So that's what I'll say about that. But you do need external storage, so you can use a CF card as we showed. We have actually external ID drives with a PC card adapter. You can use NFS networking. Lots of different options here. And you can do this in addition to installing basic familiar, so you can bootstrap or familiar to Internet. I kind of talked about this. We did a port with sub-licensing code from Blackdown of 131, and we've been trying to help somebody get 141 ported, but haven't gotten any response from Blackdown. So that hasn't made much progress. So the 131 is still the latest ARM Linux Java 2 distribution that's out there. And so if you want the full-blown Java API, that's what you choose. The Java 2 micro edition is finally starting to pick up some of the fuller APIs, but I don't think it's quite there yet. Well, we did make an iPaq, so if you install it, it's easy to install. On the community side, so how are we doing as a project out there? We have, the mailing list of members, I did this count in November, I think. So like 3,000 people on the mailing list. I talked about the iPaqs on the iPaq cluster on the outside. We had 1,300. Our convention is you log in as guest with no password, which leads to its own issues for us. And you create a subdirectory with your email address as a name. So I counted 1,300 of those. 1,300 people logged in to do something on the iPads out there. Then we have registered accounts, people who have CDS write access, 200 of those. So that's really the more core people involved in the project. And in the CDS 76 project that we posted. We have a search engine, iPaq.find.handheld.org, that has recorded 20 or 30 feeds of iPackages and indexes those. And so there's 1,900 particular packages, not 1,900 different software units, but different versions of different packages. Quite a few things. And a screenshot of Russ Thompson's PyGPS application. That's something to show here. I talked about some cluster distributions. So there's quite a bit of activity, and we're starting to get some collaboration with the Sharp folks, with the Zora folks, not the Sharp, but open source. And we're hoping to get some more synergy there. And on its own, we have quite a few people working on that's sort of an update of where we are. And here's the list of people at HP Labs and the iPaq product group, and some of the key people I can remember off the top of my head working directly with handhelds.org. So this is people I see all the time, at least online. And but many others, because we're building on open source from the whole community. Right, so you didn't ask, but you might have. How come I have HP as a chip for you? And that's a question we come back to every 6 months, because we have a lot of people saying, I'd really like to ship a product that has Linux in it, and we would like to, either they want support for the hardware or they want to go buy it directly. And we haven't gotten to that point yet. We still don't think Linux is ready for a broad audience in the same way that Pocket PC is. There's a broader range of applications, and it works sort of out of the box. Maybe it's the way we look at it. But when we look at Linux on iPaq, we have, as I said, 1,900 packages, and you can't install them all. You can't go like you do in Mandrake and say, install everything or Red Hat, install everything that will fit, and expect to have most of what you want on it. It really gets down to crafting for what you want. And so that's, as I'll talk about with iPackage, the command line tool and the graphical tools around it. And iPackage, the package format was to try and make it easier for somebody to say, I want these pieces on, and it'll go and pull them together and all the things they depend on and install them, so that you could sort of customize things. But it doesn't get to the point where HP could ship all the Linux iPaq and would have what everybody wants about it. Yeah.
Do these tend to be a lot more compact, putting a lot more compact than, say, I'll give you an example. I'm thinking of QuickBooks on into a PC is very large. But the same thing on a handheld for the I can't think of the main handheld. Anyway, there's a version for that.
Yeah.
And it's tiny, and it's pretty good.
Yeah. So a lot of the applications that are for Pocket PC have been rewritten to be a small size, and also been rewritten to use the not quite the full Windows API. And so that's sort of what Utopia and OPIE and GPE are all doing, is rewriting these sort of a suite of applications to take less screen size, to take less file system space, and to take less memory overhead. And to take less CPU, actually. So some of it's sort of going back to, it's still a faster computer than I did my graduate work on, but it's a lot slower than this laptop or most people's desktop machine. And so there's still some rewriting of applications to make them fit, to do what people expect today, and make them fit in a handheld device. I don't think that quite answered the question. But I guess what I want to say here is we really see it more as a, here's a bag of parts, and here's the iPaq, and pick up the pieces that you want and put them on the iPaq, and if they don't quite fit, well then, you get to choose which ones to throw out rather than us choose. And when we were doing the original distribution, and every week we would sort of tweak it to fit in what we thought should go in there, and interacting on email and IRC with people to see what should go in there. We didn't have the tools to make it easy for an end user to do that. And so it sort of moved very slowly. The distribution moved very slowly. As soon as Carl worked for iPackage, and all of a sudden you could say, iPackage update, and here's the feeds I want. One from Handheld, one from MIT, one from OPIE in Germany. Update to see what's there, and then install things. Then things really got moving. And as I talked about for developers, it's really low impact to get into it, because we've got like a 12-line shell script that we use to make iPackages, because we don't check all the things that Debian checks. But on the other hand, we can do it all in 12-line shell script. So it's really easy to produce an iPackage from something you compile. And it's easy to put up a feed. All you need is a web server. And you run this other script that makes a packages file, which basically pulls out the metadata of the iPackage. And then you tell people about this. And you go, put that in my list of feeds and do an update and install. So you can go from compiling a package to shipping it to people in minutes. And that's really one of the cool things about the distribution, which slides back and slides forward. And what we've been really trying to achieve with the website. I should probably come back to this. Which still comes back to. So that sort of sets it up to be a good playground for somebody who wants to put together vertical solutions. And there's some key features that are available in this whole slew of parts that would make it really good. And it comes back to, well, somebody's got to support the hardware when it has Linux on. And we're trying to get over that hurdle. I think it's now the product group's saying, if a large customer support wants to do this, then we'll get over the hurdle and we'll do the support. But right now they're looking at it as, this is going to cost us money. And without seeing money come in, we don't want to spend money on supporting another operating system. So I guess I should say the sort of workaround right now is at handhelds.org we promised that